let's arrive for a few moments here, because also I want to acknowledge before we begin this conversation that this I'd say is my first podcast. Like, you are my first official podcast guest, and I want to
Wow.
acknowledge the beauty of this moment and
Yeah.
welcome you into this space. And thank you for being here with me. Yeah, brother. I'm excited.
Celebrating you, brother.
Ow, ow. And very excited to hear your story and hear your journey. And this podcast is called Awaken with Sho. And so it's an opportunity to share, talk, open, be in that place of what is this? What are we doing here? What is this journey? What is healing? What is opening? What is loving? What is this? What is this? I held here in Ubud maybe 3-4 months ago now. And what I really enjoy and have loved about knowing Ben and meeting Ben is one, his music. Like, dropping into your music, brother, is so beautiful, and the heart that comes through your music, from whether the digital, the guitar, your voice, all of it is very special, and yeah, it's touched me many times. I want to hear about your breath work today because I haven't experienced it yet, but I know that's a part of your life. And your playful charisma and your playfulness in the darkness too, and how you allow those characters to come through you, and how you maneuver and move around these so well, and are real and authentic. So I could keep just like bigging you up, and we should just get on with the conversation. So
Thanks,
man,
bro.
can we start
That's
with
nice to
Aya?
receive. Yeah, for sure.
Because I know you did an ayahuasca retreat like a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah.
What happened, and what is ayahuasca? What was that all about?
Well, so funny, man. It's actually your birthday where I got invited to come and do the medicine ceremony. So there was some friends at your birthday, and I got introduced. When they told me about it, I just had this full body yes. And, it was about a week out from the actual ceremonies. Usually, you have a lot more time leading up to the ceremony to prepare. So there wasn't much time for me to prepare. So I was just stepping right in. So it was really beautiful because sometimes you commit to these things, a month, 2 months leading out. So it was a really quick prepping for me. And I went into the journey. It's been a while, man, since I've been blasted by some plant medicine or gone deep into something like that. Um, and wow, man, it was like, it was the most beautiful, profound experience of my life. Got to sit 2 nights, and both nights very different. Um, the first night, for those who don't know, it's a powerful plant medicine which can help you to heal, feel, express, explore, and have realizations and be in yourself. And the first night, the medicine worked really gentle for me at first, and I just felt like I was getting really initiated into medicine, man, throughout the whole evening. There were certain things that happened within the space. I got to share music in the space, and there was a funny moment where I was playing guitar and I couldn't even see my guitar. Like, I could just feel it. Like, my eye, I couldn't see. And I'm just playing guitar and I'm playing amazingly, and I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm just in it, and I'm singing a beautiful song that I'd written before, and it was just really, yeah, it was really extraordinary to be able to play music in that space, because I feel when you're on the medicine, everything just becomes so more amplified. Uh, your words, how you're speaking, what I'm playing, like how I felt was just like I'm meant for this space. Like, this is a space that I'm meant to be in. Um, and yeah, it's interesting because I was really enjoying, like, having a really blissful experience, and I was like, okay, like, when's it gonna get, like, when we go deeper. So there was a call for more medicine, um, and I went and had some more, and I asked she told me that to go have a little bit. Just go have a little bit. All you need is a little bit. But I went and asked for a strong one. And it was that old egoic pattern of mine to want to do more. You know, I used to excessively take drugs and excessively drink alcohol, and to see, and just to the radical point. And I saw that pattern come up within the medicine, me taking the medicine. It's like, why did I need to take a hero dose? So just backstory before the ceremony, I got told to the main facilitator that I'm a musician and I sing heart songs, and so he came and asked me before the ceremony if I'd like to share something through the ceremony. You can just ask me during the ceremony, or I can call on you. Um, so there's a moment where it was just so silent, like it was silent for so long, like so long, and I kind of felt like it would have been a good idea to play some harmonica. So I thought it was a good time. So I grabbed my harmonica and I start to play the harmonica, and the main facilitator is just like, Jarrah, not now. And I received that being like, fucking know your place. Like, uh, one, respect the space. Two, he shared that to ask permission to play. Um, and what I was experiencing in this moment was, I was going through this process of letting go of who Ben has been and the life that name holds. And I was really receiving the, like, why my parents called me that name and their intention for that name. And it's funny because my mum actually wanted to call me Jared, and my dad wanted to call me Benjamin. Jared's pretty close to Jarrah. And in that process, I felt like, the name, I felt the wisdom, the mission, the full depth of this name. Like, it's not just me changing my name. It's like there's a mission that this name is asking of me, calling of me. There's an energy behind this name. And and the medicine was just like, if you really want to choose this name and claim this name, then rise up in this moment or sit the fuck down. And it was that moment of me playing the harmonica at the wrong time and not asking permission that created that space for me to be like, okay, show me how to rise up. And then I just got taken on this full, beautiful, ancient experience where I was reminded of who I really am and who this name, this Jarrah name is. And I've never experienced so much like ancientness, man. Like everything just felt like, yeah, it was just really wild. Uh, and yeah, that was just the first night, which is crazy. And I got anchored in that. Like, I feel like throughout that evening, I was really initiated into medicine man. Um, and there's quite a lot of other things that happen within the space that, uh, I don't know if I don't. It's probably a breach of confidentiality sharing it, but there was other things that went down that really helped me step deeper into medicine man. In interactive with other people in the space. Um, yeah,
Before you move
that
on
was.
to the second day, I just want to share a couple of thoughts in hearing your
Mm,
journey so far, brother. The first one that stands out to me is playing the guitar but not being able to see the guitar. You can just
mm,
imagine a lot of people that haven't explored plant medicines or psychedelics, that that sentence is absurd, right? It's absurd sentence. How can one play, right, without seeing? Because although you're kind of, yes, you're feeling, but it's beyond that, isn't it? When you're on this medicine, everything morphs into a place beyond this physical world. And what I'm seeing is that you are riding this wave of melody through your
mm,
body, but it wasn't really existing in this dimension. That's what I heard when you spoke those words. And correct me if
mm,
I'm wrong, of course.
mm,
And the other thing that stood out for me was the ancientness. Like when you said ancientness, what did you mean by ancientness? What was that ancient experience you had, and how do you see ancientness? What's the feeling or the knowingness of ancientness? What is
mm.
that?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. I felt like I was, for a long time, man, I didn't really believe in like past life experiences or these kind of like experiences where you have that remind you of who you may have been. Like, I was just kind of a bit skeptical and had a few experiences that kind of like shifted that for me. And during the journey, I just really felt like I was being reminded of who I was before, and that this name Jarrah holds that energy of the innate wisdom that I've had for many lives, but that wants to come through in this life. And everything just felt ancient, like even how everyone looked, like even my interactions with some other brothers when we were doing harpe and rape outside. There was a moment actually we were in the garden and there was only men in the garden doing rape and harpe, and it just felt like men's business. And it just felt like all kind of disciples and this gathering of brothers and men to help each other in the purge and help each other in during the medicine. And that's what I mean by ancient, is like being reminded of the ancient wisdom that we have innately within us that's been either passed down for our lineage or we've experienced in another life that we've been able to now bring in to this life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Like as you're sharing that, my whole spine was alive. As you stepped into that energy of expressing that further, like I'm like,
Mm,
that this is life. This is life.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, brother. Mm.
So, is there a day two?
There was a day too. Uh, yeah, a lot of uh, there's a lot of peacefulness and a lot of rest during the day, because you sit in ceremony during the night, overnight, and leading into the second journey. Oh, I missed out a key part towards the end of the last journey. I was doing a lot of just calling in, like I was really connecting with the medicine spirit and really communicating with her, and I was in this really beautiful place and being able to ask her questions and ask her guidance. And I recently had this powerful psychic reading by this woman, and I was asking about relationship, about like I'm desiring a deep committed relationship, and she helped me understand some things about what's going on in the past. And she said to me that you actually don't know how you're going to manifest this woman, like you have no idea. And yeah, she's like, you have no idea, and that's the medicine. You just have to ask for it, and just say that you're ready and have to ask for it. And this psychic woman was amazing, man. She's like, I know you. I didn't even tell her I was sitting medicine, and she was like, I know you're sitting medicine this weekend. And I was like, wow. And she's like, yeah, just ask for it when you feel ready. Ask for it. So towards the end of the other journey, first night, I just put that out there. I was like, hey, like, uh, I'm ready for this deep committed union and relationship. And you can experience a lot of visuals on the medicine because it has the acacia root, which is activates DMT experience within your psyche. And this is a pretty funny thing that happened. So I asked for this. I'm ready for this. Said to the grandmother, I'm ready for this deep union and committed love, and I want to journey with this woman and be a king and hold her and support her and also be my own heart and leadership and lead. And she's like, okay, done. And then I saw, when you like book a ticket for a flight or an event and it says booking confirmed.
Uh-huh.
I literally saw desired woman confirmed. Please wait. And it said one. It said times one, committed union, $0. Thank you for booking. And I was like,
So good.
I was just like, was in hysterical laughing. Like I was just like, oh my days, like what a blessing. So it was the kind of last little tail end of the first day, and leading up to the second, uh, getting ready to start getting ready for the next night of medicine, and go have a shower, get into my old whites, and I sit down in my spot and getting all ready. And people were arriving because there's some new people arriving as well. And people arriving. I'm just sitting on my mat, just really present. And then this woman walks in, man. And I literally get stopped in I felt like my heart stopped for a moment. Because I was like, had such a full body response to this woman walking into the room. And I recently wrote a poem about, for a long time, I kept having these dreams about this woman. And she'd never show me her face, ever. She'd never show me her face. She'd show her body. And she'd always wearing all white. And when this woman walked in, I was like, that's the woman from my dreams. I just felt this, like, that's the woman from my dreams. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what are we going to do with that? Like, and I allowed myself to feel in that moment, but I was really trying to focus on like just centering myself and not trying, get caught in like, there's a beautiful woman just walked in. Like, I thought it may have been a distraction, like this beautiful woman's like taking me away from my process potentially. That's how I was kind of like perceiving this. Like, come on, bro. Like, this is the internal dialogue. Like, come on, bro. Like, stop trying to chase women right now. Like, this is not the space. Like, you know.
I hear.
So I kind of just like let that be there, and then leading up to that to take the medicine, man, I just felt so agitated. Like, I just felt like a little bit like, I don't know, my egoic agenda was coming in a little bit. The head noise was a bit more louder than it was. And I was just like sitting with that. And I'm quite a sensitive person. So I was like, am I just picking up the energy in the space? And then I just noticed that I started to judge people. Like, I started to judge this particular person. And this guy was, it was super late. And I was just judging him basically. I was really in my like egoic self at this point, just judging, and I had to do a lot of like self awareness to get myself out of that before taking the medicine. So I took my had medicine, went sat down, and it kicked in within like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Like, usually it takes about half an hour, but this kicked in so hard and so fast, and I've never experienced something so intense. Like, the visions, the feelings in my body, the noise that I was experiencing. Like, there was no noise. It was complete silence in the space. And all I could hear was loud, intense sound and the most wildest visions. Like, it was to the point where I actually passed out from how intense it was. And in the passing out was when I was able to fully surrender to what the intensity was trying to show me. And the intensity was showing me the noise and the chaos that the ego that we have within us likes to create for us. And the ego, as you know, like, it's got one job: to keep us alive, and it wants to keep us comfortable. But I was experiencing the the loudness of that, and how loud it actually rings through. I was like in the physical experience of that. And I was like, hey, what's deeper than this? Like, how do I move out of this? And she's like, surrender to me, and I'll show you the way. That's what I heard. And I just took this big deep breath, and it was like, and it literally just went whew, and I got anchored
Oh.
and embodied in the most blissful kingship feeling I've ever had in my whole life. And she's like, this is who you are. And I just got to experience a physical, emotional, spiritual, energetic experience of my own heart, and the beauty that it wants to bring, the joy that it wants to bring, the music that it wants to bring through, the happiness it wants to bring through. And then she's like, yeah, like, and she's telling me about how she was telling me so much information. She was just like, you do this, you do this, this, you do this, and you're going to come see me in Peru in April, and you're going to work with me, and then you're going to be serving in a one-on-one space. And I was like, whoa, more initiation into medicine, man. And then the facilitator through the night, kept asking me to play music. And I felt like first night was like moving through all the mud and everything that needed to be let go of, because I did a lot of purging the first night, to then the second night being able to have like a little exposure to what it's like to be on the medicine and be in the medicine journey, like sharing music and being part of the collective process of being like in this kind of support role of that space. Like I felt like I was invited into that unofficially through the medicine and through that evening. Um, and I've never, like, everyone looked so good because everyone's wearing white. Everyone looked so good, and I don't know how I could see in the darkness. Like, it was complete darkness, and I could see so clearly. And everyone looked so good. I felt so good. I was singing with everyone, and like the angels that were supporting, and it was just just a really reminder of like how beautiful this life is, and how I get to now experience and taste the fruits of my labor from the work that I've done on myself leading up to this journey in the last 5 to 6 years. And she was like, "Here you go, like you get to enjoy these fruits of your labor." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you, grandmother." And I was expecting to just get absolutely fucking blasted by her through the whole, like deep purge and like, you know how it is. And but it was not. It was like just such a reminder of the truth of who I am and the truth of who I'm becoming and the truth of my path. Mm,
Your story, Jarrah, your journey is very inspiring. Really beautiful to hear you share.
mm,
Yeah, man. I've never done 2 days in a row. I just did it the once, the one night.
mm,
And I can
mm.
imagine that because you've been so opened up the first night and released the stuff, that there must be so much spaciousness on the second night to really allow that light to shine through. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't really learn my lesson from first night. Uh, so like I was feeling really good, and I was like, oh, I could have a little bit more medicine. Like, just have a little bit more. And she's like, yeah, you can have a little bit. Just ask for a little bit. So I go up there and I ask for a little bit more than a little bit. And she's like, I sat down. She's like, I thought I told you just a little bit. So she kind of took me back. She kind of took me back to the beginning a little bit. She gave me like the beginning for like 5 minutes again.
uh,
And she's like, I'm trying to teach you the subtleties of this medicine. You don't need to be blasted to feel the experience to work with me. And it's just like
what
a
a
metaphor
lesson.
for life. It's like, how much do we like to excessively do stuff? And like, I need more cacao. I need to do more events. I need to do more of this, or like consume myself with more. I need more money. I need more things. And it's just like, nah, like we can really experience the beauty of anything in the smallest amount, or whatever amount we desire. It was right for us.
I'm curious to know, how does she speak to you? How do you
Mm.
receive her? In what modality or way or sense? Like, what's your knowingness there?
With the medicine,
With the medicine, with the grandmother, yeah.
yeah. She comes in many forms for me. Like my intuition works in a very interesting way. So sometimes it's in the form of myself, but in a different tone of voice. So I know the difference. But she was coming very strongly as as a grandmother figure, like that. Like I could see her, and she was communicating in that way, and then like
Wow.
showing me through story. So story is a really big part of my life, and I usually how I experience the world is through story. Like I feel like my life is a big storybook, and each chapter just gets even more beautiful. So it's kind of like that. It's like a slowly, each page unfolds, and she's showing me, and for me, it was very what's the word? Like very mixed. Sometimes it'd be like this, sometimes it'd be like that. Um, yeah, or sometimes someone would represent something, and then that would lead me into that different essence of what's going on.
I hear that. We
Mm.
all feel, know, experience differently, and I love these conversations of how do we, even in everyday life, even outside of medicine world, how do we listen to
Mm-hmm.
those parts of us? How do we listen to the subtleness of life? I love the teaching that you're receiving from her.
Mm-hmm.
It can be so gentle and fine, and Aya like opens up our ability to capacity to see more finely, right? To drop in and really
Mm-hmm.
see what's there. It kind of opens up the lens, the portal into like a deeper knowing. But it's here right now, right? Like none of that is not here. It's here right now. It's just can I be so present enough to see that? I was chatting
Mm.
to I was on a date just last night, and I was chatting to a a sister of mine, and she was telling me of this moment when she was meditating, and this blue being just comes into her face, like in her mind's eye, and it's like, is this real? Is this not real? Should I tell people about it? Should I not tell people about it? And like, we still live in a world where a lot of this subtle stuff is still very taboo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when we go on journeys like this into these other worlds, it's like it it can't be confused for not being real. It is as real can be.
Mm.
Like these spaces that exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it sounds like you're being initiated into in a beautiful way, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we are like as we awaken, we're becoming sane in an insane world. Yeah. These are spaces to remind us. Um, One lucid juicy thing. Kind of want to go back to a thing that I shared into the story about this beautiful woman that came into the space, um, which we've been able to connect after the ceremony, and we've been sharing a lot of beautiful, insane moments and time together since the ceremony, and it's extremely real. Like it feels extremely real and so like yeah, the words aren't there. Like the words are hard to express of this other being that I've been able to interact with. That's just a goddess, uh, and like just gratitude to the medicine for that, for calling that in for me. So there's a nice little loop back to that share.
Celebrating that, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, celebrating that. Happy for you in this magic.
thanks, bro. Mm,
What I also love about listening to you in this moment, this story is witnessing a brother who is like he's aware of himself. Like as you were sharing, the word I wrote down was like you were in that moment where you were judging everybody. You're in that moment where you
mm-hmm,
were just like looking around and just like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Right. In that state. And you had the awareness to see that that state wasn't conducive to life, to love. Right. And you asked, there was like an asking, how do I get out of this? How do I move beyond this? How do I escape from this? How do I dissolve this? Or whatever
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
words you use. And you asked. And I want to translate that to the real world. I say the real world. This is the real world. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the normal world we usually live in, which is kind of normal but really kind of diseased. But like this world here, we can also ask here too. But a lot of people have
Mm-hmm,
forgotten that we can ask, including myself. I don't ask nearly as much as I actually feel as if I could in everyday life to support the unfolding of this journey, this existence.
mm-hmm,
But when you're on medicine and you're in it so much, it's like, what can I do? We have to just surrender, don't we? You surrender to like, okay, like, help me out, please. Help me out, please.
mm-hmm,
And we are humbled. I've
mm-hmm,
experienced that humbling.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you share that. I was having a conversation a couple of days ago with someone and talking about when an event happens in your life, if you like, here in Bali, people have motorbike crashes all the time, right? It's a common thing. Foreigners or anyone having crashes because it's, and usually leading up to any sort of accident or any kind of event in our life, there's always this like little breadcrumbs that are like the universe is showing us little signs of like, slow down, be more present, like leading up to the incident, maybe days before or that day. And it's like, we don't listen to the small breadcrumb that we get because it's like, it's not big enough to be like, why aren't we listening to that? And, and it's just like, why don't we listen to like, sometimes there's interesting thoughts that don't make sense or those random thoughts that don't make sense. And then, you know, 4 hours later, you've crashed your bike when you got told to slow down that morning, you know? Yeah.
As you're speaking there, I'm reminded of these moments when I'm driving my bike and like stones hit my forehead or my face, and like it happens on odd occasions in my life. Like for
Mm,
like 1 week, I might get hit 3 or 4 times in the face by a stone when I'm driving my motorbike, and I'm like, why is this happening right now? And it doesn't happen for ages, and all of a sudden I'm hit again, 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 and I can also see the part of me which is like reaching for what does it mean? What does it mean? Because like I've lived in the realms, the subtle realms, everything's connected for so long.
mm,
And there's also then the part of me reaching sometimes for that need to find the meaning to the things. And I found that's not healthy for me sometimes if I'm reaching too much
mm,
for understanding everything. And like that's another
mm,
lesson for me in this moment is just surrender, trusting, It's like, yeah,
mm,
listen, but let's not grab on to trying to know everything because we can't possibly ever know anything and everything.
mm,
But can we
mm,
listen? Can we listen
mm,
to the subtleties of life bit by bit? And then the
mm.
web, the canvas is created, right? Isn't the canvas is created and we can see the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes things don't mean anything, really.
this is
They're just happening, you know?
This is it. Ram Dass talks about this a lot, the absurdity, right? Like nothing. Right, we're making stories up, right? Aren't we? Right? But
Yeah.
what is this? What is this thing? It's like, okay, we're here. We might as well
Mm,
enjoy it. What should we do with it, right? And
mm-hmm,
I'll speak personally for a moment as well. Like being part of the spiritual community, the New Age spiritual community in places around the world, right? And like it's beautiful being part of communities and tribes that are learning to better themselves or deepen into something which the old world that I grew up in didn't offer me. This is beautiful.
mm-hmm, mm,
And at the same time, it's still just a story. It's still just a story of like, let's make the world better. Let's all wake up. I mean, like, but do we want to stand for something? Do we not? Do we want to be free? Do we not? Like, if we
mm,
stand for something, are we free then? If we want something,
mm-hmm,
we're no longer free because we want to be something. We want to do something. And so,
mm-hmm,
what's more important, freedom or standing for something important and true? This is something that I'm just going through right now.
mm-hmm,
Mm. Yeah,
mm,
brother. Hey, you want to
yeah.
play some music? I know we talked about before um, you sharing some music on the podcast. You want to, or you're not
Yeah,
feeling
I'd
it
have.
today?
So I jammed at open mic at Sayuri last night, and I cut sick. I just went wild with the didge and the guitar, and I have a huge blister on my thumb. Um, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to play right now, which
No,
is a bit disappointing for the potty, but
no
yeah,
worries. I love how you say poddy.
yeah, it's a strange thing, eh?
All right, brother. Thank you for your stories and ayahuasca and
mm,
journeying into that place with me and
mm-hmm,
sharing that so openly as well on video, right? Because these
mm,
spaces are sacred, and to
mm-hmm,
to share about them in detail and depth and love that you did, I can see the reverence and the honor for this medicine, right? And like this
mm,
is important that it's
mm,
kept, even as more and
mm,
more Westerners are starting to take this medicine more and more and more, and it's becoming a bit mainstreamy in these tribes. Can we
mm-hmm,
still keep that depth of honor and reverence and trust and love for what is beyond us, what this earth that's holding us, that which we are, this land, the matter that we are made up of is itself her. It's nobody else, it's
Mm-hmm.
her. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
her, this matter right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm.
um
Yeah. Amen to that, brother.
Amen. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you, brother. Hey, let's talk about breath work a bit. um
Sure.
because I know you are a breathwork facilitator,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been practicing this for many years. I think back in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
maybe here. I'm not sure yet. And yeah, and I see out in the field, in the world, like this breathwork thing is becoming more and more important. Right? There's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
have heard about it, not necessarily tried it. Or why is
Mm-hmm.
breathwork? Why does this help? Why is this important? I'd love to start from that place in the conversation. Like, what
Mm.
is breath work? Why is this a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful healing modality? And why is it different than
Mm-hmm.
just breathing? Right? What, I mean, I
Mm.
breathe every day. Do I have to learn how to breathe again? Or is it something else? Like, these are simple questions, but I'd love to
Yeah.
start from that
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Perfect, man. It's so funny, eh? Because when I started getting into breath work, my family very traditional. I come from my mom's Italian, dad's English, and very traditional Italian side of the family. And I was telling them I'm going to become a breathwork practitioner, and there's kind of this running joke in my family where they're like, "Oh, everybody, wait, teach me how to breathe. I know how to breathe." That's the kind of. And it's funny because that's a lot of it's a lot of things people say. It's like, well, I breathe every day. Why do I need to learn how to breathe correctly? And the truth is that 80% of the people in the population aren't breathing correctly, and that's because of different events they've experienced in their life, the stresses of life, them having a really jacked up nervous system from the stresses of life, the tension that we people experience, financial stress, emotional stress, physical labor stress. So there's a lot of people in the world walking around with dysregulated nervous systems, which then um, create all kinds of symptoms: depression, anxiety, more stress, uh, mental health um, challenges. And the breath really helps us to come back and be in our body. And you're right, without the breath, we wouldn't be alive. So, breath is life. It brings us life, it brings us oxygen. And when we can use the breath in a powerful, intentional way, it becomes a really powerful healing modality. And uh, I've been really sitting with the word healing for a while now, and I've come to this conclusion that the word healing, nothing to be healed. Nothing of us is broken or wrong, and nothing needs to be healed. But I feel like healing is the returning to wholeness. We're returning back to the purest form that we are, uh, that we were born into this life to, when we first took our breath, when we came into this world. And the breath activates different states of consciousness, which allows us and gives us access to different parts of our body and different parts of our consciousness. And by doing that, we're able to process stuck or stored emotions that are in the nervous system from memories from traumatic experiences or any event where our flight, fight, or freeze responses, stress responses, also known as, have been activated. Uh, so yeah, for an example, is like imagine like a gazelle was running through the plains of Africa and it's getting chased by a lion, and as the lion's getting closer and closer and closer, but so lucky for the gazelle, it gets away from the lion. The first thing the gazelle will do, it will shake its body. It will move through all the fight and flight responses that are activated from getting away from the lion. And that animal does that innately, instinctively, because that's what it knows to do, to come back to neutrality, to be back in the world, to be back in its center, because they live in such a place where they're a threat all the time. Where we're similar. We're similar to animals in the sense that we go through stress responses and these fight and flight responses. But the thing is, we aren't taught at a young age, or society doesn't teach us. There's no role models, not many role models. There's plenty of role models, but not many role models. Even for my own personal life, I didn't have many role models of regulated people. in my life, or shown the tools how to process my emotions safely and powerfully and gently and softly. So people are just uneducated about these tools of how to even take a few breaths to just de-stress themselves in a moment, to be able to regulate. And I feel like that's foundational one of the breath is regulation. It's like the breath work is a super powerful tool, and you can go to some really beautiful, emotional, powerful places, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Very similar to a medicine journey, um, but I feel like we can't get to that place of having these really powerful life transformational experiences and realizations without being regulated. So it's really important to be in your body first before going into this deep cathartic emotional or these deep spaces where you do, you know, conscious connected breathing for an extended period of time. And I feel like what happens in this space, the shadow of this getting so big in the world, is that people are going and having these experiences, and it actually is re-traumatizing them because their nervous system and their body isn't in a place that is ready for that experience to be able to hold that. And it's not that they're not ready to able to go through it and process it in that moment. It's the integration.
Mm.
The nervous system actually can't fully integrate that experience because it's actually dysregulated still. So they have this huge awakening experience, and then they go into their real life, and they just go back into the same place again because their actual body and nervous system can't hold that new found transformation. So they just remotely go back to old patterns and behaviors, and they're back in the same place they were again. Uh, so there is a shadow to this work that a lot of people are doing it, and it's not being held, and it's not safe. And then the light side of that there's some amazing people doing incredible work in the world that is transforming masses of people through the power of the breath.
Yeah. A brother of mine, Niraj, founded a company called Soma Breath, and
I know Soma, yeah.
I love how he's brought in like sound, movement, dancing, partying, breathing in
Mm,
community. He's
mm-hmm,
brought tribe together to breathe together in large groups, and I think
mm-hmm,
there's just a genius about that again because we've forgotten to do that, like to regulate together in community when we've all created that harmonized breathing space together. If that is the style that's being propagated in the moment, it's like breathing
mm-hmm,
together, like that field becomes so harmonious, doesn't it? And the hearts
mm,
can feel safe, the bodies can feel safe. What you shared a
mm-hmm,
moment ago about being in the body, because I find this interesting. What does being in the body mean, right? And like I didn't used to know this, right? And I feel as if I am much more aware these days. Like when I notice myself going up, oh, coming back down again. In fact, I remember traveling through India just before COVID with a group of healers. And at this point, I guess this was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now. I didn't know what it meant to be in my body. Um, and I remember sitting with these guys, and over the course of this 5 months period of traveling through India together with this group of healers, the number of times that my friends have said to me, Darren, come back to your body, come back to your body, come back to your body, come back, like hundreds of times.
mm-hmm,
And most of us, like you just shared, are very disconnected from this matter and
mm-hmm,
aren't safe here. But at least I can speak for myself in that I didn't even know what here was. I thought up there was normal. I thought that was all I was. Like the mind was
mm-hmm,
all there is that existed. I didn't even know there was something else, somewhere else to go to be at. And I lived for decades like that. And when I
mm-hmm,
look out into the world, like that's what we exist in. The complete
mm-hmm,
disconnection, the severing from matter,
mm-hmm,
from the body, from Gaia, from this,
mm-hmm,
from here.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. And so that's so breath work is one of these tools. So breath is this way of coming back, right? Somehow coming back into connection here.
Yeah, coming back to neutrality and back to center, back to being grounded, and something that's interesting that you just shared is like that I was thinking about is like, who do we look for in the world to show us the way? And when we're a child, we look to our parents, we look to the teachers, we look to the people in our life, and if they're dysregulated, which most likely they are, and that's how we learn how to then kind of be in the world. And then that just gets rippled out, and then you're surrounded by other people that are dysregulated because people navigating whatever they're navigating of their own world, and it's just like, whoa, like it's not until you're around people that like remind you, like, come on, brother, take a breath, like. And
Yeah.
nature is always reminding us of that. The way the ocean moves in and out, the way the trees move in the wind. Yeah.
The way you said that felt very poetic. I felt like a current of energy flow through my being, and I was like, "Ah, yeah." It felt quite orgasmic then, as you just moved your spoke those words, because it is the
Yeah.
ebbs and flows, the waves of life, and our breath is the synchronization to the rest of the life that is inside of us, outside of us. It's like it's how do we bring them together, be with our breath, be with our body, stay connected, allow what needs to happen then happen. Because when we're in our mind, we close and control and hold, don't we? And breath is the
Yeah.
doorway to the body.
Yes, the bridge. You're just probably picking up my my orgasmic vibes from the last few days I've just spent in the mountains. This beautiful woman. Uh, yeah, the essence is still there.
Where'd you head to? Obviously, for the viewers at home, like we're both in Bali right now, Brad and I, and this is where home is, and I believe you're making this home. You're moving from Australia here and making your way to these lands. I've been here a year now, and something special about Bali for me is the connection to the gods that the locals have, like so much beauty in their devotion that I really admire, that we've forgotten often in the West, I feel. So, so orgasmic vibes, huh? Which mountain did you go to?
Yeah.
Agung?
Um, no, it was kind of near like it was like northwest. I've never been. I've been up to like a Munduk area. It was kind of like more like east of that, west of that. Somewhere I hadn't been before, and there's actually a really great example of feminine and masculine, and that those masculine and feminine those words get thrown around a lot, right, in this space that we're in, like being your masculine or being your feminine. And there's this woman that I've been connecting deeper with. We're like deeply awakening or deeply creating space for both of us to be in each of those. So for me to be really my masculine, her really feminine. And I have had a tendency in the past in my relationship to attract more masculine women because of what I was demonstrated in my childhood within my parents' dynamic. And that's always been unhealthy and always end up with me feeling hurt and just all messy. And lately, and the more that I've stepped into my kingship as a man and my own masculinity and me up to lead and love from my heart, I've been able to interact in this new way before, and then even more deeper with this goddess, this woman, because she's so inner feminine, and I feel like such a man when I'm around her. I just feel like such a man that I can lead. And she expressed to me the other day that she'd love to go and experience a night under the stars in the jungle. So I took that, I took the vision of that, and I just led with it. And I found a few places, I chose a place, I booked it, and said we leave Monday, and I took ownership and led that, and that felt really good. That felt like that was really like just felt an embodied thing to do. So I found this place and had a beautiful glamping set up, but I had this beautiful like hammock, like this rope hammock that came off the the deck of this glamping, and it was just over the jungle. We just had the whole canopy of the jungle, the beautiful sky, and I set up this beautiful hammock of pillows and blankets and like this mattress, and it was just so comfy. And we just spent both nights under the stars. And the first night we saw 12 shooting stars, and this one that just went for like, I swear, 5 seconds. It was just like, and it was just amazing. Like, it was just so beautiful to be out there in the nature and be in the village, and just so quiet out there, man. So peaceful and so simple and just clean, and just really reminded me of the beauty of this island we get to call home. And then coming back into Ubud, it was like, whoa, there's a lot going on here.
And that's why I recently moved just north of Ubud. I'm like 15 minutes north now of Ubud. I'm like, I did a year there, or like 10 months there, and I was like, that's enough. That's enough. The traffic, the intensity, it was like on the roads. But now I have this valley in front of me. I have this really beautiful balcony I'm sitting on right now, and just green deliciousness. These incredible flocks of birds that just kind of swirl around. Sometimes they fly into my house here and like just swarm in and out the house. I'm like, blessed place to live. Such a blessed place to live, you know. So,
Yeah.
as I'm sitting here with you, brother, I'm enjoying the feelings in my heart. It's nice to just be in presence and realness, and just slow down. Like in Ubud, I find I'm going from this workshop to that workshop, you know, or hanging out in the coffee shops and the cafes, which are all beautiful, but they're bustling and busy. And there's something beautiful that I enjoy with the simplicity of this. The simplicity of just being with a brother or a sister and being real and intimate and honest. And as you were sharing your words about your time in the jungle or underneath the stars, I was feeling into the beauty of what I felt last night on this first date with a woman. And like, it's just the first date. I have no idea where it's going to go. Yeah, it's the first time in a very long time I too have felt a beauty in love and openness, such softness in someone else that I just want to love up. I really want to love up, right? And I can see myself wanting to make her mine. And I'm watching the part of me which is like, how much of that is desired or needed, how much of that's coming from pain, how much of that is a beautiful thing to create and hold a container for a feminine, an embodied feminine woman, right? Like, there's a beauty in holding that container and allowing that to nurture the feminine, the flow, the beauty there. And I'm watching how much I want to take her and have her versus be here with her. And also honoring what I want next. Because I after being single for the last year and a half, after a previous long relationship, I'm kind of ready for something now. Like, I'm ready to drop in and deepen, similar to I think what you just described there. Kind of ready for that again now. And hearing your story about it like fills me up with joy. Like, it's beautiful seeing you explore that, because I'm inspired. Yeah, man. Thank you for your gentleness. Is there anything you feel as if you want to share here in this space right now? Anything else that you feel as if you want to offer in?
Yeah, it's interesting that we've spoken to a little bit about breath work, and it's something that I'm obviously super passionate about, and I had a big practice in Australia, and it's changing for me. It's changing, and it's I like how I got to share a little bit now about it, and I didn't. Often when people ask me about my breathwork journey, I share this huge story about like my past and how I got to this place and how this and I really enjoyed. It's interesting. I really enjoyed not sharing that story just now. I really enjoyed just sharing some wisdom about the breath, and it was just like I don't have to. Like I'm going through this big thing in my life right now, or even my business actually, where I'm not stepping aside, but I'm stepping a little bit this way, so the essence of and the entities and the vision of that can actually go deeper. Because in some way, I feel like I am personally restricting the growth of and heart breath is the modality, the practice that I created, and restricting the, the growth of heart breath because it's wrapped in the identity of the story that how it impacted me in the beginning and how it changed my life, and then be able to just purely to speak on the power of the breath and not wrap my own story within that felt really good. And I just felt like sharing that just now. It's like that felt really good to just, you know, being of service to that true essence of the breath in that moment was really nice. Um, and I really enjoyed this drop in and this, you know, usually podcasts are quite structured and people have a lot of questions for you, or you know, there's that it's been planned out leaning into it. Where I felt like this is just going on a bit of a beautiful journey, and I can really see the vision of this podcast for you. I can feel it. I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing the vision that you have of just creating conversation and just working with where the energy is and just deeply sharing from the heart. And I think that's really beautiful what you're creating here, brother. And I feel like this space is what people are craving and desiring. It's just to hear people chat and talk and connect and yarn and talk about things they love and talk about their heart and talk about things they experience and the weirdness and the craziness of life. Because there's so much out there, you know, there's so many podcasts with so much information and so much growth. And like if we go back into like the ancient times, even here in Bali, you see it all the time. The local people just sit around with each other and just sit on the side of the road or sit and just chat with each other. And I feel like we've forgotten that in society. We're so wrapped up in our lives that we just forget to sit down and have a chat with someone. And when I was in the medicine, I was thinking about this. I was like, I go to my Sayuri, this cafe in Ubud. If you ever come to Ubud, Sayuri is the spot. You meet people there. It's a good vibe. There's always stuff going on. And I was just thinking on the medicine. I was like, fuck, why don't we just go and talk to people randomly? Like here, it's pretty normal, but in the rest of the world, like someone's just sitting by themselves in a cafe. Why don't we just go and sit next to them and say hello? Like it's absurd that we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So much shame there, embarrassment. What are they going to
Mm,
say? What are they going to? Are going to reject me? Right? What are they going to say to me? They're going to look at me weird, like like all those stories. And I'm like finally getting to the point where, like 40 years old, none of that matters anymore. It's like it's like just live. Let's just
mm,
live, right? And there's an impulse to meet somebody, be the meeting, take the direction, right? Be the masculine, move in the direction, trust the current of life. Yeah, thank you for those words. It's like when we do know something is right in our hearts, can we listen to it? Can we then act without thinking about it? Can we
mm,
take the sword and then make it happen?
mm,
Right? More and more, more and more and more. May my brothers stand with me in this.
mm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful, man.
Brotherhood is another journey that I've personally been on in recent years. I've sat
Mm-hmm.
in many circles, and and what's your journey been like? If you're around for another 10 or 15 minutes, we can
Sure,
open
man.
up
I
another
got time.
topic. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
let's open up another topic.
Mm-hmm.
Being a man in this world, being a brother in this world,
Mm-hmm.
I, and you touched on this earlier, like I didn't really have the role models when I was younger, men around me. We didn't propagate good men on the news or good men
Mm-hmm.
in sort of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And my family didn't really have the education or the regulation tools to know what it was to do that. I love my dad dearly, in his way of loving, but it wasn't fully and completely, if we ever are, um, the level of integration that's possible that I
Mm-hmm.
see now in the world with the brothers around me here in Ubud for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, yeah, where did you start? How did you start your
Mm.
journey of going from boy to man? And what's kind of the things that stood out for you on that path?
Mm. Yeah, I love that, man. I yeah, I feel like there's when you're a kid, when you're a boy, there's always kind of two kind of ways you want to choose, right? And usually a boy wants to conform and be do things by the book and isn't good in school and does what he's told and like listens and is like and then there's the other boy that's complete rebel. And for me, being the rebel was my cry for was my actual ask for attention. What I was really asking for when I was being rebellious and being out of control and causing a ruckus was I want some presents. And I wasn't getting presents the other way by being conformative and doing the right thing. So I chose to be more of a rebel in my early kind of life, uh, to get the presents, and I got the presents, but it wasn't the presents I really truly wanted. Um, and that led to me actually being asked to leave school, leave high school, and that was reflected in my grades. And I was not given many options. I was given three options, which was one to change my attitude and uh, change my attitude and step up and do the right thing. Two, leave school, or three, they offered me this like apprenticeship link program, to go and do a trade, and basically I had to choose from. Basically, I kind of got pushed into that. It wasn't. It was just a more of a mutual agreement, and I felt like my voice was taken away in that moment from my family, my teachers, schooling, the system. It was just like, this is your path now. And basically, I got given five options: uh, boilermaker, couldn't be electrician because I'm slightly colorblind, bricklayer, carpenter, painter, or a mechanic. And like, these are the five things you can do in this apprenticeship link program. And basically, this program's like, you go to school 3 days a week, and then you go to it's called TAFE, which is like another kind of tech school for these trade school for 2 days. So I started doing this program, and that then started to put me and shift me into a different world. And during this program, you go and do work experience in the trade that you chose. And I chose to do mechanics. And so I started doing work experience at a diesel mechanic workshop. And the, that was my first ever experience into a man's world. And back then, there wasn't many women in the industry. And if there were, they worked in the office, and there was no man on the floor, basically. So I was at 14, 15, forced into this man's world, working around middle-aged men, hard labor, 10 to 12-hour days, uh, working on machinery, working on mechanical stuff. Uh, so I had to learn really quickly how to adapt to be in that world. And I had to learn how to protect myself. I had to learn how to be in that space around in Australia. A lot of unhealthy patterns and behaviors and things go down in that space. Um, probably the worst space that I've ever seen around. I've probably seen the worst of men in that space, and how that shaped me as a young adult was very impactful and disempowering for myself, which then it led me to you look to your peers when you're going through stuff, and a lot of my peers were either taking drugs or drinking or abusing each other and making fun of each other, and I just started to do that because I thought that was the way. And it wasn't until I had a huge awakening, which is a whole nother story, which would take up all this time. Though I had a huge awakening after being severely beaten up by another man for doing something that I shouldn't have been doing in a place that wasn't my place. That's a really nice way to put that. uh, you can read between the lines of what that means. And I had awakening. It's the first time I experienced the breath, and I had this huge awakening in the hospital bed, and because I got severely beaten up, and had this awakening in the hospital bed where I realized that every single moment that I chose to suppress with drugs and alcohol, and I made a commit to myself to never put myself in that situation again, and I went searching and started with my health, started to get clean, started to search for these spaces uh, that could help me. And I was very, very lucky and fortunate that I got to meet some incredible brothers and men that I are dear to my heart in Australia, who held me through deep work, deep men's work, and inner work, and to be surrounded by men who look at you with love. And I know that you feel this because I feel this with you. Another brother and a man that looks at you with so much love and presence and just like celebration of you and wants to hold you. And it's just like wow, I've gone from this world of men putting you down, abusing you, not wanting the best for you, who are also, that I realized later in life, actually just in deep pain. And this is
Mm.
their way of expressing that deep pain because they don't have this space to then be in this space of being deeply held. Really like catapulted me in my journey. And yeah, it's not until you've asked this question now that I have a lot of gratitude for the brothers in my life, for the men that I have in my life. They've held me in the past that may not be in my life now, for the men that are in my life now, and the men that are going to be in my life. Because without that, without these people around me, these other brothers around me, holding me, keeping me accountable, speaking into when I'm not stepping up, and loving me, like it flips the script on like like that we can actually receive and feel a lot of love from another man, and it doesn't have to be sexual. It doesn't have to be this 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 thing. Oh, it's gay, man. Like it's gay if you love on me. It's like no, I hug all my brother mates. We sometimes cuddle. We whatever. Like to be able to receive love from another man is the best gift. And sometimes we don't have our actual father in our life, or we have a father in our life that isn't emotionally available. So we can be the fathers for each other. We can be the brothers for each other, the uncles, and the role models for each other. To be better, to celebrate each other, because that's what we did back in the day. The men celebrated the fuck out of each other. They went and hunted
Yeah.
together. They sat in circle together. They held each other, and they helped us check in when we weren't like showing up. And it wasn't. It's not a punishment. It's just a hey brother, step up. You can do better. I love you, but you can do better. And thank you for being in my life. Is what we should be doing with each other instead of
Yeah.
you're a piece of shit. You know all those abusive things we say, other men say to each other. And then yeah,
It's so true, the word you speak, that where you're speaking from, it's so normalized in men to act and be like that.
mm-hmm,
Millions of men across the world, especially the West, Australia, similar in England, can imagine in the US, Canada too.
mm-hmm,
These are the countries that I guess most similar to the culture that I know we know.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Britain, it's very easy to put other people down. It's like it's just in the web. If you're doing really well, I'll put them down. Oh, they're not going to last very long. Oh yeah. It's just like it is a constant like you got to come and be like me down here. The celebration
Mm-hmm.
of the lifting, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
this is still prevalent in our world. It's still
Mm-hmm.
prevalent. If we are talking about it right now here, it's still there. It still exists, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, these conversations are bringing awareness to those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
May we flip them around, and may we notice. May we notice when we bring about statements that are coming from pain, when we project something out into the world. Hold on, maybe that isn't true. Maybe I am hurting inside myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like all pain, all war in the world, and we're seeing that more right now at these
Mm-hmm.
times, comes from that pain within, somewhere pain within us as a whole. So
Mm-hmm.
where is that pain? What is that pain that's creating and propagating and amplifying this into the physical world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, we are so committed. I speak for myself, and I feel you too. So committed to the inner work, the inner world. Like this is the space inside. Is the space where we can change the outside. It starts in here, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
cliche. It's truth, right? It's like it's not. It starts within. It's just start within. La la la. No, like this is it. This is how it works. Take a
Mm-hmm.
dose of mushrooms or ayahuasca or LSD, do a ceremony, understand the world, and see how it is all connected,
Mm-hmm.
deeply connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, and I feel the medicine for that is like often when we're a boy, we want to go back to the mum, right? We want to go back to our mother. We feel called back to the mother, and then when it's like these boys never get the opportunity. So what I feel like is really lacking in society is initiative process for boys, teenagers to step into adulthood, step into manhood, or giving some sort of space for them to be able to step into that through a rite of passage. And I've been very fortunate to have done that, a lot of that work in Australia. For 4 years, I did rite of passage camps for teenagers. Really powerful and beautiful work. And I really saw that there's men, with there's grown men in the world who are physically grown men with hair on their balls and hair on their chest and beards and long hair, and like we're in it, you know, we're here, but they're actually just boys. They're anchored still in boys,
Yeah.
and what's needed is to go through that rite of passage, that initiated experience, and and often the boy wants to go back to the mother, wants to go to the mum. And what we do when we're not fully initiated or have gone through a rite of passage into deeper manhood, we then we look for these partners and these women to fucking fulfill the mother role, because the boy is wanting that. And then there's such a like thing that plays out between men and women, and it's like they actually just their partner becomes their mum,
Yeah.
and it's wild when you see it. When I first saw that, and I was like, on my days, like the first woman that I thought was my girlfriend that I thought was my mum, I actually once called my mum to talk to her, and I called my mum babe, and that's when I realized, holy fuck, my girlfriend, like there's some fucking mum dynamic playing out between me and my girlfriend. So I just called my mum babe. That was like, I was like, fuck.
Something's got to change here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I tune into my last relationship of 5 years, I that was the relationship where I learned this, right? I
Mm,
learned that there were still currents of my being that was still projecting onto her mummy, you know? And it was the journey of releasing her, of letting her
mm,
go, of leaving the relationship, which
mm-hmm,
was my my chosen initiation for myself. It's like I know I'm doing this. I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go because this is me. In letting go of you, I'm actually just claiming now myself for the first time
Mm-hmm.
because I was intertwined. I was born through my mother. I came through her
Mm-hmm.
womb like a
Mm-hmm.
leaf out of a tree. So of course I'm
Mm-hmm.
connected to my mother, and I always will be. But
Mm-hmm.
there was an entanglement still there. I hadn't fully claimed my sovereign self
Mm-hmm.
back until
Mm-hmm.
my 30s, until my late 30s,
Mm.
right? And so I
Yeah.
am and was one of those men that didn't know this. That was a boy until his mid to late 30s, and I look out
Mm-hmm.
in the world and I see the same thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
the patterns in relationships of the 2.4 children households is just this. It's absurd.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's so important for this rite of passage process that needs to be implemented into our society. It's implemented in Indigenous communities and First Nation peoples and communities around the world, but in the Western world, it's not there. And in the Western world, the initiated process is partying and alcohol and like let's throw a big celebration because we just finished high school and get really messed up on alcohol. It's like
Yeah.
whoa, and then in that process of the rite of passage is when we really learn to let go of the mother. And in the rite of passage, the boy leaves his community and he goes on a journey. And on that journey, similar to the hero's journey, he goes on a journey through understanding himself. And then he meets a wise man. The wise man then shows him the way, shows him that there's this dragon, this boy or this part of them that needs to be integrated and worked through, and they go through it. They go through that. They go through the forest and they go through the dark night of the soul, or whatever that is for that boy. You know, in the indigenous communities, they'd go out and hunt a lion. If they didn't come back with a lion, they wouldn't be a boy. And if they died out there, that was their destiny. But obviously, we can't send our boys out into the jungle and go hunt a lion. You know, like
We
so
could.
we have to.
We could.
Yeah, we could. So we have to create a space that represents that, you know, some sort of self-inquiry challenge, a physical challenge,
Yeah.
emotional,
Yeah.
physical, spiritual. And then when they come out of that, they get shown these tools of how to be a man in the world, or this is what it's like to be a man.
Mm.
And then after that, they actually get to then be go back to the community and then be celebrated by the community and met. The community then sees him as a man, not a boy. And and if we create those spaces in the world, how many beautiful men would we have in the world who are connected to their heart? And how many women would feel like they're being treated like a queen and be able to fully soften? And when we start to see this more rise of men, embodied men, because we're seeing the rise of masculine men, but it's destructive. Because that's the boy. The boy wants to destruct and just fucking. There's a quote:
Yeah.
if we don't show and teach our boys how to become men, they'll come down to the village and burn the village to feel the heat. And that's because they want to destruct. But a man that comes down to the village, a boy that would come to the village wants to destroy it. But a man that comes to the village will want to provide for the village. And that's the difference between a boy and a man. A boy wants to destroy, a man wants to create. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that distinction so much.
Mm,
That was the second spine shifting, energetic, orgasmic moment I've had on this call with you. Yeah.
mm,
Ben, I feel as if we
yeah.
are coming to a close. That was a solid 90 minutes of
Mm,
absolute joy and presence with you,
beautiful.
brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
What a
Thank
joy.
you. Thank you
Mm,
for being here with me. Thank you for sharing you. Thank you for,
mm,
enjoying me on those topics. And love you, man.
mm.
Yeah.
Love you, brother. Blessings, man. It was such a beautiful space that you created, and I felt, especially that last bit, just talking about that really inspired me for that work and like how important that is. And yeah, I really appreciate and deeply respect the space you created here and I'm actually really excited for you, man, and the conversations that you get to have more after this with other incredible people, because you hold such a beautiful space, and yeah, just honored to have you in my life, man.
I received this. Thank you, bro. Thank
Mm,
you. Letting it
yeah.
in. Yeah.
Mm.
Alrighty.